Hey y'all, my name is Tamara Andress. I am your Fit and Faith podcast host, and I am pumped to be here. Just me, no words, no scripts, no intros, no outros. I love authenticity. I hope to breed vulnerability, and I usually do this alongside another dreamer, mover, shaker, entrepreneur, passionista is what I love to call them. If you're a dude, then a dude. But I am loving just coming together in community with other people to share their high and low stories, to share their journeys to come back, because I believe ultimately that's where God would have us. He would have us on the mountaintop. And even though we learn a ton in the pit and in the valley, God would want us right now, especially in this season of life, in this time of our culture, to shine. And so here I am. I want to teach you how to shine. I want to be alongside you when you get your glow. I want to catapult you into your calling, whatever that is. So this isn't a fitness podcast. This is not a religious banter, though we preach Jesus all day long. And this is not just about nutrition or health or wealth, though I like some green, and I know you do too. It's not okay for us to not be okay with talking about all of these things in unison. You guys, we don't just need a mental health podcast. We don't just need a fitness podcast. We don't just need a religious, spiritual podcast. It needs to blend. This is what Fit and Faith is all about. It's all about creating alignment, connectivity. It's about pursuing your wholeness and claiming it over your life and over the lives of the loved ones that you have around you in your community. So thank you for tuning in. I would love to get to know you more. You can like, review, subscribe, whatever it is. Send me an email, DM me. It's me. I have an amazing team alongside me, but you guys are getting me for now. So enjoy. I'm so pumped to have a coffee conversation with you, is what I'd love to call them. Don't have my coffee right now, but I have it in my system, as you can see. All the love. Let's do this together and keep going for your dreams, y'all. Thought about it. It's episode 11 of the Fit and Faith podcast, and we are here today with one of my longest standing friends, I would say.
Yeah, kindergarten.
Other than cousins, but that doesn't really count. Family. This is your family, which is so crazy. Thanks. Kindergarten, right?
I know, yeah.
I was thinking about our relationship
class.
And how we were doing selfies and modeling long before there was ever a selfie stick with our wind up.
Instagram, yeah. I still have some of those too, actually.
Oh, I do too.
I should have.
We might have to make them as a part of the promo for this. It's so funny. It was so much fun though. We were like modeling, smelling roses
in Red Wing Park.
Yep, and our outfit and our hair. We were so trendy. We kind of really looked like Spice Girls.
That's so funny.
We just had a lot of fun. So it's interesting to see, fast forward, probably 20 years, where we're at now and how that has played. I was
doing the math. It's like 28 years because Rocky is the same. We have had the same length of friendship, and I was trying to figure that out. It's about 28 years.
That is crazy.
Yeah. A lot of people don't have friends that long.
No.
Especially super close friends that long.
That's very true. I think it says a lot about there's a commitment to that, and I know even when I think about that, we don't commit to each other probably as much as we could and should and would like to.
Yeah.
But we've kind of just ebbed and flowed through life so similarly. And even in this last season of my life, like the changes that I've made, I kind of see you kind of doing the same thing and evolving into the woman that we've always wanted to be. But like, you know, the 20s, you're just kind of, it's a crapshoot, honestly.
Yeah, it's like the type of friendship that just kind of like picks up where you left off.
Yeah. And I love
But we're in the same chapters of life. So I feel like it's really understood that, well, I'm busy and kids keep me busy and businesses. Yeah. Those are the best kind of friends too, though, because they understand.
They understand. Yeah. It's been really fun to watch, but also live it out with you. I was thinking this morning when I was getting ready about, I have lots of friends with kids. But I think Ruby was one of like the first where I like was at the hospital, got to hold her. She was so sweet. And how old is she now?
She's 8.
8. That is so crazy.
Well, what's crazy about it is, okay, so I had her when I was 25.
Right.
We found out we were expecting her when I was 24.
Right.
At the time, I felt like, well, you know, we're adult, we're mature. That's not too young.
Yeah.
at 33 now,
Yeah.
I'm like, we were babies.
So young.
We were so young.
So young.
You know, but in the middle of it, I didn't think anything. I was like, yeah, you know, we're adults.
Fine.
We'll handle it. And we did handle it, but now when I look back, I'm like, we were babies.
And Ruby, you better not even think about it.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Wait till you're
35.
Like, not a chance. And it is wild because you did things a little different than most people did when it came to like your and Kevin's relationship. And I always, even when I went to your wedding, I remember being like, this is so firm. This is so cool.
Aw, thank you.
Such a love story. And I know that there's probably been trials and tribulations. We've all had them since we've been married and that special tying of the knot. But just watching that unfold and you guys growing into one another as you've grown into who you are as a person.
We've both done some personal transformations, I think, which is really neat. Yeah. And now we're kind of like working on bringing it back together, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked about it a lot, so I don't mind kind of being honest about it, but we do marriage counseling all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We are super opposite and not in the way that complements one another.
Okay.
Like we're the negative charge magnets or whatever. So it's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, and I'm very kind of upfront and honest about that. It's a lot of work, and we have to work every day to kind of like stay a fit and stay a united front. And some days are easier than others.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but I think, again, we did do things a little bit differently. And so for people who don't know, we had our daughter before we got married. Yep. So 24, had our daughter. I don't think we got married until we were like 27.
Yeah, it's like
around that time.
Cute little flower.
And we're both 33. He's heading into 34 pretty soon. So we've been together for a decade. It's a long time.
Cool. Yep. Yeah. Gary and I too this year is a decade together. And
there's a lot of changes that take place.
Your cerebral cortex doesn't even close till you're 25. So often, especially you're thinking of like my baby, like you really are so moldable until that time. Yeah. And so then you're going into being a mom where you're already in this cyclone of what's happening to myself and my life. And like you go from you were together with Kevin, but single lifestyle of just you guys. And then into that transformation of, wait, none of my friends have kids.
None of them.
So you lose your phone contacts. You lose the parties on the weekends.
Yeah.
And then you're expected to parent together and do all of these things that it's just not something that even like premarital counseling can prepare you for.
Sure.
And so it's just a matter of, let's do it.
Yeah.
How are we going to figure this out?
Yeah.
And nobody can give you advice, even the marriage counselor, because we have a therapist. She's amazing. And she gives us communication tips and, kind of gives us a safe space to talk about things that are difficult. But at the exact same time, she can't say, you should do this and this is going to work.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know.
Sure.
It's different for everyone. Yeah. Every personality type, and our therapist is such an Enneagram like thought process. So she will share like, oh, well, she's doing this because da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
He's doing this because da-da-da-da. Plus she knows all of our backgrounds from our childhood. So if I was to continue to study something different, it would totally be like the neuropsych, like growing, how you intermingle with people. I find that fascinating.
Yeah. I actually went to school. I got my bachelor's in human services because I thought I would go on to do the master's in counseling and then so forth. And I wanted to do kind of child development because I'm interested in how you evolve from your childhood into the adult that you become.
It is.
Because, that nature versus nurture or, the baggage that we carry around, the scars, the way we communicate with people. And I think that's so important now as a parent. I will find myself like stepping back and being like, crap, that was a really bad example of like how we communicate. It's really important for me to kind of set an example for them on like how we talk to one another, how we talk to our siblings, how a husband and wife should talk to each other, how adults talk to children and vice versa. Yeah. I won't say that I succeed every day, but I'm really interested in kind of how those relationships through a child's eyes kind of evolve into creating the person that they become.
Absolutely.
So it's we've had
so many conversations, Gary and I and our therapist, in regards to like Cooper and Waverly, and you have a boy and girl, but it's girl-boy. So I'm curious how their relationship is a little bit different. And Ours are really close at 16 months, so it's a lot of competition. He wants to do everything his way. He bickers and fights and picks and prods his little sister all day long.
Aww.
And she's so emotional, and she just wants to be his friend.
Yeah.
And so I often take her side, and I realize that I can't do that because I also have to hear why it is that he's frustrated. What did Sissy do? And yesterday we're driving in the car, and he was like, held her hand because she was like, Cooper, and was touching her in the car seat. And he pinched her hand and squeezed it really hard. And I'm watching in the rearview mirror, and I'm like, want to laugh out loud because his face is like so hateful.
They
like,
get like real.
Yeah, and Cooper, that is not kind, buddy. I don't like that decision. Why do you have to touch her like that?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, she was interrupting me, and I'm going to call her interrupting Waverly every day now.
It sounds exactly like my house.
I was dying. I was like, I can't even be serious right now. You're going to call her interrupting Waverly? Because they do the knock, knock, who's there, interrupting cow, cow, moo.
Yeah.
I was like, stop it.
It's the same.
So frustrating.
I think that's like the sibling.
It is. It's a whole nother
dynamic.
Because he wouldn't treat anybody else like that.
Sure.
It's just the comfortability.
Yeah.
Which is exactly like your marriage.
Yeah.
You get so comfortable with somebody, or even relationships within family, and you know the buttons to push. You know what's going to affect them in just the right way because you're mad or irritated or frustrated or whatever it is, and learning those communication strategies to simmer back on that and treat them as you would want to be treated.
Sure.
And
it's just kind of learning, like how they receive information.
Yeah.
I have learned that like I need to take a softer approach in, my like, because I just tend to be like firm and lay it out, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
And, he takes that definitely as like really attacking.
Abrasive.
And I'm like, I wasn't like, that's just how I talk.
So Gary's the sales guy, right? And so I get I think we should. I'm like, please don't sell ice to an ice cream right now. I'm your wife. I want to do it because it's this way. And he's like, I wasn't trying to sell you. I'm like, you just gave me a whole pitch on why this dining room table should be white instead of black. I like the black one.
Yeah,
that's the end of it. And fast forward 5 years later, I'm like, I really hate this black table. And he's like, are you kidding me? I stood in that store for an hour trying to get you to get the white one. So oftentimes you end up biting your tongue and realizing, not that they're right. I'm not going to give them all that credit, but that there could have been an easier compromise.
Yeah. Well, and for me, learning to apologize, I don't like to apologize.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be real honest about that. And he's almost real quick to apologize.
Yeah.
Because he thinks like, oh, well, if I just say sorry, we can move on.
Right.
Like, easy solution.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of like, no, I'm going to stew on this for a while. So kind of meeting in that middle.
Yeah.
He needs to take it like a little more seriously. Yeah. Like, I appreciate your apology, but do you really understand why I'm upset?
Right.
And I need to be a little bit quicker to say, okay.
That's interesting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, love you, really. I think mine probably, definitely have the stubborn trait for sure, but then I have this component of Gary needs not the words, he wants the action.
Yeah.
So he wants to see how I'm sorry or why I'm sorry versus the love languages. Saying it. Yeah. That's a hard thing to do for someone who's stubborn. I'm like, sorry. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't work. And he's like, sorry really doesn't mean anything to me because people my whole life have told me sorry. Yeah. And then the very next day they do the exact same thing. I agree. I was one to him. So I get that.
Yep.
Not fun.
The love languages thing are interesting, and it's interesting when you put it in the relationship you have with your children too.
Oh yeah.
I read a book. The book is The Outward Mindset.
Ooh.
And one of the stories really resonated with me, and it's a father and a son, and I don't remember it completely, but I remember the long of the short of it is the father wanted to bond with the son, in one way.
Sure.
And it was always a drag to the son, and the father, it was his way. And what he didn't realize was that the son really enjoyed bonding through playing basketball. And he was going to actually connect with, his child by bonding with him through basketball versus whatever way he thought, tag along with me for this or tag along for that.
Sure.
And he's really busy with work, and they're just virtually uninterested, and just so kind of recreating your relationship with them through their eyes and their interests.
So
and
good.
Our children just want our time most of the time,
absolutely. Undivided time.
Yeah.
As I'm guilty and we all
like
are
put
now.
your phone down. Yep. I've heard from my daughter more than my son, like, you're always working. always working.
Heartbreaking.
And so they get used to like their devices or whatever they do to occupy their solo time. And the moment I flip the switch and say, let's make some jewelry together. Do you want to do an art together? It's like the world lights up. And they're so excited. Yeah. So whenever they ask, I try to like at least give them that little bit of time. Like yesterday, Levi wanted to play roller coaster, which was literally just running around in circles in the front yard. I didn't feel good. I did not feel like doing it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes of the most enthusiastic roller coaster ride ever. Because like right now, this is how you're trying to bond and connect with me.
Oh, that's so good. It's so
interesting.
Hard.
Yeah, it is hard because we're busy.
Yes.
And I don't remember my parents ever playing with me.
No.
Like, I don't think we lived in that generation.
And I love you, Mom and Dad, but they didn't. They took us on adventures.
Sure.
I do remember that. But other than that, go outside and play.
Yeah, like go occupy yourself.
That was it.
So it's hard for me to kind of merge the two because it's healthy to occupy it themselves.
Sure.
They should.
Yeah.
I don't have time to occupy you all day long.
Yeah.
But I also want to figure out a way to connect with you. In a way that means something to you.
Yep. I love that. And especially for all the people about to go into summer break, that's like such sound advice to know that it is okay that there's times where you're not sitting on the floor doing every single thing with them. But then at the very same time to know that it's super important for us to be intentional with our time and with the type of love that they receive.
Sure.
And my son would love if I was a gift giver at every moment of the day.
Wouldn't they all?
He is so ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I'm not getting you that. And so he knows that he's not going to get it, but he still never hesitates to ask. Great. Yeah, but he recently, his birthday's coming up. He'll be 6, crazy enough. And we were talking about what kind of birthday party do you want? Where do you want it to be? Who do you want to come? And we just kind of, honestly, the kid brainstorms his birthday all year long.
Oh, yeah, Ruby too.
All year long.
365 days of the year.
And we've been stuck on Star Wars Legos for a good 6 months. So I know that's what he wants his theme to be. And he said this when he was about just turned 5, and he said all the people he wanted to come, and specifically some of them are in like the older elementary to middle school age brackets. He hangs out very much with older kids. He loves that. And he said, but no devices. And I was like, interesting. I'm like, why no devices? He's like, because they don't pay attention when they're on their devices. So no devices. And I'm like, that is awesome. A no device birthday party. And he's like, even you, Mommy.
Yeah.
Like, you're right.
It's so important.
So we're going to check him at the door just like you would check your keys if you're having a drinking party. And everyone has to come with no intent.
So fun.
So he's like so excited about that one fact. We could have nothing else there other than that quality time of their 5 minutes of roller coaster.
Well, it's funny because we just did Ruby's birthday party at a really cute place, and the staff, after it was all kind of done, she said, you guys were the most involved party, like the most involved adults that we've ever had in here.
Where were you?
The green bean.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Amazing.
I was like,
I love it. I love it.
No, they're awesome. I just didn't want to like call them out.
No, it's awesome.
And so we had like this big dance party, and it was so fun, and all the parents were like dancing, and the grandparents, everybody shows up, so grandparents, aunts, uncles, and I was like, well, what do the other parents do? Yeah. And Kevin looked at me and goes, sit on their phone. Yeah. And it's true. Yeah.
And like, they're being entertained for an hour.
Yeah. It's like babysitter, like free time. And I'm super guilty of it. I work off my phone. Of course. But I really try. Yeah. I try to be conscious of it. I try to kind of like, when I have it out and I'm mindlessly scrolling, it's like, what's the point here? I'm not looking at anything, put it away.
Right. That's so good.
Miss anything.
Yeah. And I have some friends who have practiced doing they don't have their phone next to their bedside either, and the phone stays on the other side of the room plugged in, or it's downstairs plugged in. I will be honest that we have not gotten to that part of our relationship.
I can't do that.
And I would love to.
I'll sleep through an alarm if it's not right next to me, and I use my phone.
I just feel like I had a conversation with my boss the other day, and he was like, so what do you and Gary do? Like, if you never, because he always references shows, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
we do not watch TV. And he's just, so what do you guys do when the kids go to sleep? I'm like, we go to sleep?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I mean, like, just your downtime. I'm like, we might pour a glass of wine and, like, talk. You're like, oh. He was so confused. And then I said, actually, you know what? We will get on our phones and like, hey, did you see this? Yeah. Hey, did you see this? And he likes to watch MMA, but he does it all on his phone. And I am on my phone working all day long. Yeah. So I'm done by the time the day is over.
Yeah.
But I would love to talk about that too, like that component of how your businesses have evolved. When I got dressed today, I put on my LuLaRoe, which I know it's actually really torn and whatever. It's a shawl. But I know that you had like this transition from everything that you went from college into all of these different things. I want to hear about that entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, well, referencing LuLaRoe. Yeah. So we had said I had my daughter when I was 24. I was going back to school. I had taken a break from school. I went to school after high school and then took a little bit of a break. And then decided to go back, and it was a week before my semester started that I found out I was pregnant. So it was like, wait a minute. Oh, it was clearly unplanned. Yep. I did the whole I think it was roughly 3 years. Okay. Pregnant and then with a child. And I waited tables. So I kind of did whatever we could to kind of make ends meet while I finished it out. And then I was like, great. I'm going to get my degree. I'm going to get a job. Yeah. Be great. And then I couldn't get a job. I couldn't even get an interview. That's what was so frustrating.
Wow, because you would be so good. Like interview, you would probably.
I love like the human services aspect and fundraising, child welfare, nonprofit, like all of that stuff. I couldn't get a job anywhere. It's one of those. There's a lot. I think maybe there's a lot of candidates. Yeah. A lot of the positions now require masters. So there's just a lot of factors, and I think a lot of our generation, and then definitely the millennial younger, because we're kind of on the cusp right there, know exactly what I'm talking about. Like you go to school, you spend all of this time investing in a degree, and then there's no jobs, or there's not a job that's in your field. And not to sound like bratty or whatever, but we were kind of at the point where if I was going to leave my children, or my child at the time, it was going to be for something. Right. And the only positions that were even remotely accessible at the time would have been spending more on childcare. Yep. Always. To have a job. Yeah. And that's a hard decision to make for a woman, I think. But we just decided to have a second child. Yeah. So this is the point. Like this. Okay. This is our time right here. Yeah. Okay. Like what do we want to do? Yeah. So. We ended up with Levi.
Yeah, because you would have gone back maybe for a year, maybe for 2, and then you're like, okay, bye again. And
and there was no real certainty. Yeah. And there was no real direction, and so it just felt like a good time to have baby number 2. Yeah. If I was home right then and there, right? Like, why not?
Absolutely.
So after Levi is when I stumbled into LuLaRoe randomly. I got invited to a party, and he was 3 months old. I'll never forget. Like he was real young, so it was almost immediately. Yeah. And we were under contract for our house. We were buying a house, and Kevin was like, "You are crazy," because it is a big financial investment to join. And I was like, "Please, like I think this will work. This is something I could do." It was brand new at the time. Like nobody knew what it was. Yeah. Long story short, I ended up winning that argument. He was not on board. Yeah. And it was a really cool journey. It really was. And I just kind of evolved out of it for personal reasons. And then honestly, for like creativity in the fashion world, I just felt super limited. Oh, sure. One of the hardest things for me was getting up every morning and feeling like I was not dressing for myself. I mean, your clothes express who you are, and when you're wearing something that makes you feel less like yourself, it was hard. And so I had to make that was one of the inner kind of like dilemmas that I was having. But what a lot of people don't know is I left, and I was making really good money at the time. I still was. I was consistent in business, and I had a really small but really solid group team of good sellers. I had trained them to they were really good, really good group of girls. And I left, and we needed that money. So it was a really big decision for us. We had to sit down. I had to kind of like go over all of the plans and kind of what are we going to do. And so I say that because I started a new business. I started my own boutique, and the option to fail is like not there. I say it now because we still rely on that income. Of course. Our whole life had kind of evolved to rely on dual income. Yep. And then if I'm like, I'm gonna quit. I'm out. Kevin's standing there looking at me going, okay, well, like, what are you gonna do now? Yeah. And so, but I've always been a really hard worker.
Oh, totally. But the question, so it's interesting because it's not like opening your boutique is they're paying you immediately. So you lose the money income and you're investing again, which you had just done it like a blink of an eye before.
Yeah, literally. I invested pretty much everything that I had into kind of flipping clothes online. Yeah. And now we have the store. Yeah. And it's still, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say like, oh, I'm in the clear, I'm debt free. Of course. At all. I mean, we definitely have kind of put everything that we have into it on the side, but it's doing well. Yes. So,
and you're so good at it because it's so much more, and I can say it from experience of having my own boutique. Yeah. I feel like it's so apparent that it's not just about the clothes. Yeah. The clothes are such an open door conversation and beginning relationship starter. You empower people in such a way when you interact with them, when you share about your experience, and it's not about the clothes, though the clothes make us, you can feel a certain way when you put on something. Sure. But you're so good at just making everyone feel beautiful.
Thank you.
And I love that. And you feel that way when you go into the store. You feel spoiled, and you haven't even bought anything yet.
I have really good staff, I will say. I'm very lucky. True. I've got really good staff. They almost do a better job than I do, so I love it.
It is.
People come in, so helpful. They'll start talking, I'm like, them go because they're real good.
I love it. Well, I had my manager at our store for a while, and everyone thought she was my mom. Yeah. And at some point, and then she also would just call herself the owner because they'd be like, "Oh, you're the owner," and she'd be like, "Yeah," and she would just go on a long tangent, and she still does it today, which makes my mom it's hilarious to her because she now owns it fully, and I appreciate it. I'm like, "Girl, you own whatever you want to own. You can have the back end because that's not the part that I love. Yeah. The part that I love is the customer." And making them feel beautiful and connecting with them about their babies and all of those things. Yeah. That was definitely the biggest thing that I missed. But when it came to like the retail industry, when I told you, I think I said, don't open a store. Yeah. Do anything besides.
I don't know if you remember, like the first time I went to market, I reached out to you and was like, hey, do you have any advice? About going? So.
And I love market. I'll do that any day of the week. Bring me all the clothes, all the new stuff.
Money. Like, we'll take that, we'll take that, we'll take that.
It is so much fun. So it's really cool to see like that, how that's evolved for you. And now it's what I know you've done a couple of your own pieces.
Yeah, we did a couple t-shirts.
Okay. Yeah. Is that something you want to like continue to look into?
Maybe. Okay. Yeah. I'd like to expand the brand, like that concept a little bit in the future. Cool. It's really a matter of having time. I feel like I can't start another project, or we were talking about the creative side of things earlier. I can't start that until I'm really, I feel real dialed in with the day-to-day management of the store and everything that's going on. And we're getting there.
That's awesome.
But it's just not enough yet where I'm able to kind of walk away for a little bit and put my attention elsewhere. Yeah. But I would like to. I really, back to women empowerment and just kind of creating a space for women, much like what you're doing, to live fearlessly, to stop letting fear. I know, speaking from personal experience, I spent a long time like being afraid of what other people were going to think and not chasing dreams that I know that I would have been super good at because I didn't have the courage and the self-awareness to chase them. Yeah. And looking back now, I didn't have the self-awareness, so I probably would have gotten eaten up alive.
Yeah, that's so true.
Like I had to evolve into the person that I've become to be able to look back. Yeah. But I would have liked to have had the tools maybe sooner.
Yeah, sure.
And really looked into that personal development aspect earlier. Sure. So if I can help other people do that and feel a little bit more fearless, a little empowered to take control of their life. Because we get in this rut of like, wake up, go to work, come home, fix dinner, put our kids to bed, wake up, go to work, come home, fix dinner, put our kids to bed, live for the weekend. Yep. Then on the weekend, we get together with the same 5 people. We all have a couple drinks, our kids play. It's Sunday, everybody get ready for school.
Ready for work,
And it's like this rat race of the same monotony, for lack of a better word. And I love routine, and I love the simple moments, but I want to create something that's more on my own terms, less monotonous, less like restricted to that schedule.
Yeah, it's been interesting because I have the desire for a lot of that as well, and I jumped into the core concept this year, and I feel like your Live Fearlessly like group will be similar to that. And whether it's the group that you already have established via social media, or if it's a local group of women that come, I feel like it's going to have that similar take for you, because it becomes less about your day-to-day routine and more about how can I help them live fearlessly in their routine or lack thereof. And I love seeing women like shatter that a little bit, shake it a bit, and get uncomfortable. And so often the first thing that people say is, well, I don't know how, or well, I don't have the time, or I don't have the resources. And I always challenge those questions, because I'm like, what is the limiting belief to why you think you don't have time?
Yeah.
What is the limiting belief to why you don't have enough resources? It's not about your bank account, because we can work around that and through that and with that to your advantage. And why, and that courage piece is such a huge one, because kind of circles back to what we were talking about before. Like, who in your childhood, who told you that you weren't good enough? Who stepped on you enough to say you don't deserve to do what you're passionate about? Yeah. And it's a multitude of people generally, but sometimes it's like one situation that rests within your soul so deeply, and it really should be a freedom opportunity to say, okay, you're likely not even friends with that person anymore. Yeah. You're likely not intimately involved with that person anymore. And if you are, how can you get on top of what their belief is of you and stop living for what they say? Yeah. And so it's been such an inspiring thing to watch women let go of all of those limiting beliefs and step into that ownership and being able, it's fearful. Don't get me wrong. There are so many steps that I take on a daily basis, like, I don't know what the heck we're going to talk about. Yeah. Here we are. And it's like, let's just step into that uncomfortability and see where it goes, because it's going to be good. And there's fault moments, there's missteps, there's the time where your self-awareness isn't in the place that it needs to be. But if you continue to go back to what the purpose is, and the purpose is to live fearlessly outside of that rat race, outside of the mundane, and the desire to like pursue your dreams and what you're made to do, you're always going to come back to, okay, dust off my knees a little bit and let's walk forward.
Let's just keep going. Yeah. Well, and living fearlessly or being fearless is, it doesn't mean that you don't have fear, right? Because like we all have fear. Yeah. It's one of Brene Brown's books actually, where she talks about, like riding in a car, and fear is allowed to be a passenger in the car, as are joy and all other emotions, but fear is never allowed to have the driver's seat. It's allowed to ride. You are allowed to acknowledge it's there, but it is never allowed to be the driver. And that's always really resonated with me, because everybody has that like crazy anxiety-ridden fear over something, especially if it's something that's important to you or something that you wanted, you're passionate about. There's a big gamble there.
So much, because it's your soul you're putting on the line.
But it's about kind of like pushing forward anyway. Like, I'm feeling this, and I acknowledge that it's there, and I acknowledge the importance of whatever, whatever journey I'm about to embark on. Yeah. But I'm still going to go forward anyway, even though it scares me. Yeah.
And it's the people who end up taking that plunge and going that next step that you're like, how come they can do it? Yeah. It's because they've recognized and they've kept walking, versus some people do let that fear or whatever the fear factor is.
They let it just
take it over.
Yeah.
And then they find ways to numb it. And sometimes the numbing is the fact that they have, a 7 to 6 p.m. job, and then you're so stuck in the rat race. I thought it was interesting when you were talking about how LuLaRoe, and once you guys had the dual income, and how we as a society, if you make the money, you're going to spend the money. It's how we operate. Yeah. You become the lifestyle of what your pocketbook will allow you to be. And then it's stuck in a different situation. You're like, hold on a second, but this is what we're used to doing. And Gary and I walked through a really scary time when I let go of the boutique. I let go of the other bra line that I was developing, and decided be home with the kids and pour into the people in the place that wasn't ever going to go away. Yeah. It was a really hard decision. It was a really fearful decision. And to watch our finances just go up in flames, it seemed like it was so scary. And yet people look from the outside looking in, are like, oh, they've got everything. They go on trips. They've got a nice car. They've got, my car is a 2011, has 110,000 miles on it. It looks brand spanking new from the outside, because somebody gave it a good paint job. And currently, if you open the trunk, the shock is broken on it. And so it'll open really beautifully, and and it's like shutting on you, and it's so heavy. And people are like, oh my gosh, are you going to get that fixed? I'm like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So learning to like, you know, deal with the concept of money is also such an important thing, because it can be the main limiting belief, but it can also be the unlock if you can get past that to say there's more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I also think in terms of money, you know, if there's a will, there's a way. And I certainly don't mean like, oh, for anybody who's their limiting belief is the financial aspect. Like, certainly don't put yourself into mounds of debt that you're never going to be able to pay off.
Absolutely.
But again, if there's a will, there's a way. And I think if your why is strong enough and you're really passionate about what you're going to do, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure out how to finance it. You're going to figure out how to trade for it, leverage it, like do whatever to make it happen.
That's so true.
And watch it evolve. So.
And it's interesting too, because now with the concept of like collaboration, and I feel like you're really good at that. You're so open to community. You're so open, and you've been like that. And you say it kind of like what you went to school for, and having that heart. You've been like that for so much longer than what I feel like the fad of community service, right? And that's a horrible thing to say that that's a fad, because it's amazing when people have outreach, and here I am doing a bunch of stuff for a Safe House project locally. But at the very same time, it's more about the why behind it. But you've always opened your doors to these concepts of collaboration and being willing, because you've been there. How can I help you? What can we do to like,
you know? And I don't know, I mean, I feel like I've always just had one of those generous hearts where like I always want to do good. I always want to give back, because it's like the right thing to do. I live by like this moral code of right and wrong. And Kevin is always like, it's not that black and white. I'm like, but it is though. Like right is right and wrong is wrong. Right. Even if it doesn't benefit me, if it's like wrong, it's wrong. So I think in terms of like giving back and collaborating, you know, I've always felt much like a loner. Like I've got friends and stuff, but I've never had, you know, this like group of friends, this big group of friends, or this big group of business professionals. I've never really had like my place. I've kind of floated between groups or whatever. So I just do my own thing. And then when people who are looking for companionship or help or collaboration ask, I'm like, sure. Like I never had that. I never had the people bringing me in. So it would have been nice to feel like I had community to belong to. So I just always try to create that community for other people. And now that I feel like I'm more established, I do have little networks in places where I feel like I belong. But in terms of creating my business from like the ground up, I didn't have anybody. Back to being, you know, having a newborn at 25, I didn't have any friends. The few friends, and I've never run with a huge social group. I've always had like just a small core knit of friends. And so the few that I had were gone. The moment that they found out I was pregnant. No lie.
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, I had, you know, a childhood friends like you and Rocky and a couple other friends to like anchor down and like do a baby shower that I didn't even want, and like things like that, you know. But in terms of people to hang out with after I had a baby, I had no one. So for like 3 years it was real lonely, and then I had Levi and started that business, and it was like, okay, I just invested all this money in this business. How am I going to get it off the ground? And so it was really important. I had to go out. I had to go out and meet people.
Wow. How interesting. Now, was it like, I mean, talk about comfort zone. Was that out of your comfort zone?
100%. Right? 100%. But I also I don't like failing in that aspect. Like I believe in, you're going to fail things and you're going to learn from them and stuff. But I gambled a lot of money on that, and we were not in a position for me to do that. So it was like, I gotta make this work. That tenacity of like, you know, we gotta figure this out. It's gotta work. And then as it started to take off, it was like kind of an addiction. You're like, oh, this is successful, and then you kind of you ride that little wave of success.
As much as you can. It's interesting because I had both senses of, I put in a lot of money for Modern Maternity when it first opened, and the mini businesses that we did, but that one took the chunk of the change. And then to ride that boutique out for as long as we did, you're constantly investing in that. I mean, it's a constant investment. It's like owning a home, because you want to make it new and trendy and new lines and that line. And there's 52 seasons in the fashion world, and it's just like, oh my gosh, how do we keep up with it? And at the same time, when I let go of the bra company, we decided we're going to pour everything in to make the store work. And it was kind of in this, like, we're about to re-sign the lease. We're not really sure if we're going to re-sign the lease. So that's when we did the store remodel, and which looks amazing now, and was such an investment for my mom. But at the time, I was like, okay, we're going to make this work. And it was about 4 months later, and I'm like, this isn't right.
Yeah.
This isn't where I should be. I'm not thriving here. The business wasn't thriving. So it, of course, the addiction of what it was has now been lost.
Yeah.
My energy was all toward my home, my faith, my kiddos, that relationship. And so I wasn't in it in the same way that I was. So looking at numbers, I'm like, oh crap. I never paid myself.
Yeah.
I never did any of the smart financial things that now I have a little talking person on my shoulder, always talking to me about money in a good way, because she's a best friend and she's giving me the resources and the books and all the podcasts.
The organization.
I'm like, I love you. Thank you so much. You're like my life CFO. But it was the scariest thing. And so I felt so much like a failure. And I walked in that like kind of shame for about a year. Had to completely remove myself from the store, and it was also my mom. So that situation was really tough.
Hard.
You kind of worked with your mom for a little bit, but she had her own thing. It's like, it's a
hard anytime you mix
thing.
Family and business is hard.
Very, very hard. It took us quite a while to get over it, but the hard part was I still wanted the reign. I still wanted to be able to control, because I was such a control freak at the time. And now I'm just so excited for her. And so when she gives me fashion lines and shows me something, that's so fun. And I know that my place was outside of it.
Sure.
And it's become everything to her.
Oh,
and I love that.
Yeah.
But boy, that failure component is that's probably my biggest fear, because on the very opposite end, I'm the achiever.
Yeah.
So if I'm driving towards things so hard, that somewhere in the back of you is like, why are you driving so hard? What is keeping you from being okay with just resting, or not winning, not letting it happen? So I don't know why specifically the failure piece is so big to me. It's just I think praise that I received from achieving.
Yeah, because you've always been an achiever, like an overachiever, like in childhood and school and stuff.
Yeah, it's annoying. Sometimes I wish there's obviously huge pieces where I'd be like, I would love to just be like her.
The kid who like never turned in his homework and did not care at all. Yeah, I never understood that. I have anxiety all the time about not being like on time and have my document, anything. I like to have, what did they say, your I's dotted and your T's crossed.
Oh yeah, and it has to be early and it has to be prepared. I was not a procrastinator. I will say recently I went through my second year of my ordination. I just got ordained as a minister. Really fun. And it was a 2-year program, and you had to do like a monthly assignment. Well, as that was happening, Fit and Faith was also coming off the ground. And that ministry, has taken all of my energy and my love and my creativity and my passion. And I am telling you, I had no time, no bandwidth to do multiple things. It was all I had.
It's hard.
Plus doing my other job. And so I was talking to Pastor, and I'm like, I am so sorry I haven't done these assignments. It was giving me like night sweats. I couldn't sleep knowing that I had these things to check off. And at one point, he told me, God will give you grace for your space, which I've said that on the podcast before. And when he said that, it almost released me from the fact of like, you don't have to do all of those things. Yeah. Not to say that that's what he said. He's not like you cannot do the homework assignment, because the college professor still says turn in the college professor or the grades to get it. But I just had this release of being like, do what makes you happy. Yeah. Do what feels right. Again, that moral code, good versus bad, versus like always trying to do all of it. Yeah. We can't do all of it.
Or just, the anxiety of not getting it all done. Yeah. That resonates with me so much in terms of just having a task that I've tasked myself with, and nobody is holding me accountable. Yeah. And the anxiety of it needs to get done, and I like not allowing myself to slow down or relax ever. Yeah. And I've had that conversation with myself many a times where it's like, who cares? Yeah. Who is going to come knock on your door if that doesn't get done? Relax a little bit. Right. That laissez-faire. I don't have that attitude. I'm very like, everything needs to get done, but none of it gets done ever. So why stress about it? Right. And I will say I have gotten better. Yes. I'll kind of let things go. Yeah. I joke about my house. I'm like, it's well lived in. It's just it. That's what it is. This chaos. I'd like to say it doesn't look like this all the time, but it does.
Yeah, that's normal. Yep. So you're special if it's clean. Yeah. It's just, that's the
it
treat.
Does. It's well lived in, but and then pulling back in the child conversation, I mean, I don't want my kids to always remember me as working or cleaning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
If our kitchen doesn't get cleaned, well, I'm weird about the kitchen. I like the kitchen to be clean.
Yeah.
So if our living room doesn't get picked up, if the pillows aren't arranged nicely, but we all got to kind of like laugh and play around for 30 minutes before bed, that's okay. There's nobody knocking on my door being like, excuse me.
Yeah.
You didn't do
that.
this.
Yeah. It's so true.
But I don't know where. I think I wonder if we went back to the way we were raised as children. I think we had very similar home dynamics. Like it was very strict, and you had rules and you had chores, and we both, you know, were very good listeners and good children. And if you didn't do it, you were in trouble, you know.
Totally.
And so I just wonder, sometimes I think that's honestly where it comes from.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then I mean, even things like making your bed. So I went through like a huge like hiatus of I am not making my bed because I had to make my bed every single day. Like it had to be done.
Rebelling.
And I was like, I'm not doing it. In college, I ended up doing it when it was like my little space. And even in my marriage, I was like, it's like our room. I don't care what it looks like. Well, since we've moved, I've been really adamant because I love the decor in our bedroom. And it was the only space because my mother-in-law and my father-in-law were there for a while. And it was complete chaos. It was the only space that I could control. And so we started making the bed every day. Yeah. And now I get why it's one of the lists of the 7 highly effective leaders, things that they do is make their bed, because it feels amazing. When I leave, I'm like, yes, I did something already today. Yeah. That feels good. And when I come back in the evening, though I have to take off the pillows that my husband doesn't understand. Yeah. It feels so cozy.
I do like when you come home.
Yes.
You know, we're always running late. I feel like no matter how early we get up, we're always running late. Yeah. But I do like the feeling of coming home and it's made.
Yeah, you walk into that room in a safe space and it just feels organized.
I'm weird about beds though. Like I change my sheets at least once a week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I like them like clean and our bed's all white too. So it's real easy to have to do that. And I do it on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
It's like all white, it's nice and clean. It's like, 3 days, there's like
it's time to come on.
Yeah, my kids have like Cheetos or something, Fruit Loops or something in bed watching TV. I'm like, change it, let's go.
So my Mexican husband's side of the bed, he's like, he takes a shower every single night before he goes to bed. He will have just taken a shower and he does it. And it is brown. Yeah. And I'm like, why is your skin falling off? Yeah. Like, what is happening?
They're so dirty. It's Kevin, too. They're dirty.
I'm like, I need to get in there and, like, scrub brush you because it is always on my white sheets.
He showers sometimes, like, twice a day.
And
his side is always dingy. Yes. And I can go 2 or 3 days without showering, and my side is, like, crisp and clean, and I don't even move when I sleep. Right? It's like the blanket's all nice.
You just flip it back up, and now you're done.
I can, yes.
Like, why is your pillowcases off? Why are you grunting?
The corner of the bed sheet is like, coming off. I don't know what they do when they sleep.
It cracks me up. I'm sorry, babe. I'm totally calling you out on your weird habits. It's so strange.
It is funny.
It cracks me up. But I love, I just think that there is so much goodness to teach our children with the ability of, going into living fearlessly, but also that laissez-faire. Yeah. Living fearlessly and that combination. And it's not a control thing. Yeah. It's like a freedom experience.
Slowing down a little bit. I try to have that conversation with myself as well. Yeah. Have you read Present Over Perfect? I feel like you have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
so one just that launched me in. That idea of why are we always on the go, and I fear not only for myself but just for my friends, my family, and just everybody that we're in this such a fast-paced go mentality that somewhere along the line something major is going to happen in terms of like a mistake or a bad accident because you're going so fast that you're not almost not paying attention to what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And I worry about that. I'm like, did I get all the kids out of the car? Did I leave something in the grocery cart? Where's my purse? We're just going so fast that it's so easy to make a mistake or an error that can have a really long-term lasting impact.
So true.
I really try to slow down. Yeah. And just I kind of plan out my day. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm type A organized, but I figure out what's going to be on my agenda for the day, and then we just get through that. And if the day ends and I have time for something else, great. If I don't, I'd like for my kids to know that it's okay to go sit outside and read a book, or I don't really watch a lot of TV, but watch a show,
Right. I think
play a game.
A big adjustment for me, because I'm a task list person. I have running lists everywhere in my notes on my computer desk.
Sticky notes.
Post-it notes everywhere. I'm taking notes right now. And I, instead of, because you always, I like to check them. As much as I make the list, I got to check it off. Was instead of having a running list of what you need to accomplish, take it off of that list and putting it on what you have accomplished.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
And so you have 2 running lists. And then instead of being like, I got nothing done this week that I wanted to get done, it's like, hold on. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I did all of these things. And then, occasionally I'll just delete it because I did that all, and I want to keep going towards the other thing. But it's a really nice thing for a weekly reflection for me specifically, in order to calm myself down. And those other things are still going to be on the list. It's not going to make or break
anywhere.
you. And your kids, those babies, need your attention just as much now as if your whole list was completely done, which will never be. But they don't care. They don't see that. Yeah, they don't even know what that is. Yep. This morning, I was rushing around getting stuff ready for the kids. It was my brother's birthday, so I was like, you need to make your Uncle Robert a card really quick. I'm brushing hair, putting on shoes. And I said this all out loud. I'm like, I have to brush your hair, I have to put on your shoes, I got to get your bathing suit for later, I have to get your soccer stuff. And I'm saying it out loud. And he's like, Cooper said in a country accent, he's like, well, that's a lot of things to do there, right there.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you, Cooper. Yeah. I started laughing. All of the stress that I had just built up from saying that just completely released. And I'm like, you know what, Coop, you're right. That is a lot of things. Mommy's got lots of things that you never even think about. Yeah. And at the very same moment, just realizing it really doesn't matter.
No.
It really doesn't.
I have this anxiety about being on time. I like to be on time. And when I'm not on time, or you get in traffic and you're pushing it, it creeps up. And I've noticed that I've passed that along to my daughter. She's old enough now, she's 8, that she gets like that. I'm going to be late, and she already has anxiety, and so I can see it. And I'm trying to backtrack. I'm trying to realizing hey, it's okay if we're late. And so for the past few months,
you're convicting me right now.
I'm internally freaking out. I have to put on a face that it's okay. Sometimes we're late. There's nothing we can do about this traffic right now. Yeah. There's nothing we can do. Yeah. So we can freak out, or we can take a deep breath and remind ourselves that there's nothing we can do.
That's interesting. You're convicting me.
Yes, it's hard because internally, I'm but crying and freaking out and panic attacks over being late to school or gymnastics or something. And I'm watching it happen going, I did this.
That's my fault. Right?
I did this by barking and being like, we're going to be late. Yeah. Freaking out.
Yeah. Put your shoes on. We got to go. Put your shoes on. Put your shoes on. Put your shoes on 25 times.
So I'm trying to
interesting.
reverse what I have done over the past 8 years unconsciously.
That's really interesting. I literally have taught my children that being on time is being 5 minutes early. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh my God, we're late. Oh my God, we're late. And really it's being late for 5 minutes early is what I'm late for, because I don't want to be late. So since I moved and I'm only an extra 10 minutes away from school, I cannot get there on time. And it's caused me such anxiety to the point that the other day we were actually really early. I'm pulled into Starbucks and Cooper's like, where are we going? Where are we going? I'm like, it's okay. Remember how Mommy used to get a coffee very often when we would come to school, and we haven't in the last month because we've been late? Today we're on time. So Mommy's getting a coffee. Yeah. And he was like, we're going to be late. I'm like, no, we're not. Yeah. We're going to be on time.
It's good. I like to try. I try now that I've realized, in this instance, to remind my daughter, especially because she's older. Levi doesn't really quite understand yet. Remind them that people's time is valuable. When you're late, you're eating into somebody else's time, and it's so important to be conscious of other people's time. So true. Without creating this panic and this stress of if we are late.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of towing that line a little bit.
Absolutely.
Even though internally I'm
well, it goes back again to the moral of what's right versus wrong. What's the good thing to do? What's the good Samaritan thing to do versus not? And I've got a friend who is always late. I know she's going to be late. Yeah. And so I just prepare myself that 5 o'clock means 5:20. Yeah. And she walks in lackadaisical and everyone's calm. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to respond with the same thing because she doesn't care. So if I care, I'm just making a frenzy about something. she's never going to care about.
Yeah.
So her role in my life has been really helpful in that sense. Sure. I still have my personal thing, it still is there. But whenever I have something to do with her, I'm just like, oh. Yeah.
Well, and I think you talked about expectations at one point. Yeah. But when we set these expectations and we expect people to meet them without actually educating them on whatever expectation we've set for them, that's not really fair.
No.
So if you know that she's 20 minutes late all the time, you can just stop setting that expectation.
Totally.
Embrace the relationship for what it is and know going into it, like there's no need to stress
and it releases her as much as it releases me. She has to, and I'll have to ask her specifically now that we're having this conversation, like she has to have seen the change in my demeanor about it over the course of the last couple years. There's no way, because before I was like, Morgan, we're gonna be late. Sorry, Morgan, just called you out. Sorry, that's hilarious. But like she now at this point, I'm just like, hey, okay, we'll see you at 5.
We're ready.
Whenever, I'm here. I'm outside in your driveway, but I'm just on the phone. Don't worry about it.
It's funny.
So it's so true though. I wanted to circle back because you had said something earlier that I thought was really profound about your self-awareness and what happens to us as a child to where we are now, and moving forward to the women that you want to impact, whether they're younger, whether they're the same age, whether they're older, because I really feel like you have a really cool connection with women who are older as well, who just are like, you're doing it and I'm proud of you, but also you're impacting them. If you, besides like the live fearlessly, what would you want to instill in their hearts and minds about something to take with them?
Look, I'm looking at that going, worthy. I mean, like worthiness. I think that's like a great message. I think one of the most profound things for me in terms of self, help and evolving as a person is being okay with what you're feeling and actually feeling it. Yeah. We try to run and hide from our feelings. We try to mask them in multitude of ways. And one of the things that I've learned is, like, it's okay to be angry, it's okay to be upset, hurt, sad, happy, joy, like really honing in on whatever emotion that you're feeling and allowing yourself to feel that, regardless of what it is. You are worthy of happiness, and it's okay to be sad or hurt, and or like the failure component, like that's such a normal feeling, and it's okay. It's really how we move forward from it.
Absolutely.
That defines us, or that's how we grow. And so many people are afraid to feel things.
That's so true. And our society is so good at giving you all of the mechanisms to mask it. That then we literally are rats in the rat race running on medication. It's like we're in a lab. And it's crazy because there's so many different ways to do it. And most of them, I don't even think we realize. And that's where, when I had to like stop, get off, reevaluate this contraption in my life, like the first pursuit was, and my first like proclamation of what I had done was that I quit the American dream. That I let go of everything that I thought I was in pursuit of and what I was told as a child I was supposed to be in pursuit of. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so that is so in line with like everything that we've talked about. And like, not everybody's going to do that. Some people it's not about whether you're pursuing a 9-to-5 job. I am all for somebody who's passionately in their position and they have a set time that they're there. It's not about having to be your own entrepreneur. It's about making sure in the time you wake up to the time you go to bed that at some point you're in pursuit of your own happiness.
100%. And you're living as your most authentic self. Not trying to be somebody that you think you're supposed to be, or you're not doing something that you think you're supposed to do, or something that is expected of you but isn't really bringing you happiness and joy.
It's so true.
And even if you're in a situation, because sometimes you are in a job or a situation where you're doing something that it's a means to get by, you don't have a choice. That you're finding time in your day to do something for you that brings you joy, that brings you peace, that brings you happiness, that's going to keep you grounded in who you are, essentially.
And that's where like my whole heart for like the whole concept of mind, body, and soul alignment is that there should be points of your day and points of your life that are all gearing you towards a mental state of health and well-being, a body physical state of well-being, a pursuit of, you know, your health, your overall health, and then your spiritual well-being, your spirit man, wherever that place is for you, to make sure that you are searching that out daily, often as you possibly can, and
staying connected with it for sure, 100%. I know mine is I joke, my church is nature, my spiritual relationship with God and the universe, and the way that I'm spoken to is 100% through being outside, being in nature, and really creating time, because I don't have a lot of time, and that's an easy excuse. Nobody does. But making an effort to create the time to get outside. We got a puppy recently. And that has been such a blessing. Everybody was like, why are you getting this dog? It's a crazy dog. And I used to have one, so I'm familiar with the breed. And I was like, well, I just want one. I want one to be able to go hiking alone with for safety reasons. They're very protective. I've always wanted one. Our other dogs are older. It's a great time. And everyone's like, you're bananas. But what I love about this crazy banana dog who's insane is he forces me to get outside. So I have made time to get outside for myself, but now I'm forced to every day, and I'm so grateful for those, even if it's 20 minutes. I take it, we go outside, we go for a walk, we play fetch, and that just 20 minutes, I don't have my phone with me. I'm forced to do it, and I'm so grateful for it. I love it, because that's where I find my reflection and those conversations and stuff.
I've loved that, because even in conjunction with that component, we haven't talked about it yet, for your physical health, because you've done a transformation in that for yourself, as well as being outside for those Spartan races that you've done, and like, how has that, because that's been kind of an evolution for you. You weren't always into that. We started running. We've done a couple mud runs, both Kevin and I, throughout the duration of our relationship, but we did the Spartan trifecta last year, which was like a series of 3 races. We ended up running, I think 5 or 6, I can't remember, total, but we did do the trifecta, and they're just really challenging physically. But what's so interesting about them is, as challenging as they are physically, they're even more mentally challenging. So you can be so strong, but if you don't have the mental grit to get through like 13.5 miles in the West Virginia mountains with mud, and it rained, gosh, I was stung by a bee twice, like all kinds of stuff. If you don't have it's painful. Oh my gosh.
I think it took us like 4 hours. It was the first time we'd ever done that long one, but that's a long time and you have to have the mental stamina to get through. But I thrive off of that type of stuff. I like being challenged, and I like rising to the challenge. So I really enjoy that. And then the spiritual side of just being in the mountains, we love it.
And quality time for you guys too, to make that as a pursuit together. Not parenting.
And not, we've noticed our relationship get stronger. I wasn't sure if I should if I was going to touch on this topic, but we've noticed our relationship get stronger the less we drink, cutting out alcohol. We both really like, a good cocktail every now and again, but we certainly don't indulge that much. Not anymore. Not the way we used to. When we were in our 20s, we did for various reasons, and that's like definitely a deep conversation. But as a couple, we've noticed that we do a lot better when we're not drinking. And it's when we're not drinking together and when we're not drinking with our friends. We just bond and thrive better through like the physical challenges, or the going hiking, going camping, going down to the beach, and that's both of us have made that decision on our own.
That's amazing. It's funny, because when you were talking about the feelings, just yesterday, I've been convicted of it a lot in the past probably week or two. So the fact that you're bringing this up again, it's just kind of fun. I call my God winks. So thank you for being a tool for that. Is that she was talking about how she was 1 year sober, and she said, I was never an alcoholic. I would just drink, multiple times a week, maybe 1, maybe 2, but I just always found myself numbing my feelings with alcohol. And oftentimes, if Gary and I are going to have a cocktail, I have so much stuff going on in my life, whether it's good or bad. It's absolutely for that. I mean, there is no other reason that I'm using it. I mean, that's the only tool that it's for. So when we're talking about all the things that we do to mask things, yet at the same time, you're like, oh, I feel great. This is a good time together. I know I put things into my body purposely, and I am really good about having that wholeness concept. I know you've done Whole30 multiple times. And then, though I drink clean wine, Scout and Cellar, I'll prep it really quick, it's still doing the same thing of something negative. Yeah. And I shouldn't do it alone. We should do it alone anyway. And then to do it as a couple, that's a really noble thing to both recognize that and be on that page on the same time.
Yeah. Recognizing it as a couple was interesting. It was accidental. It was definitely through kind of going through the physical transformation, joining a gym, working out, doing the races. You can't binge drink. You can't drink heavily and then still perform in the way that you want to. It was pointed out a little bit by our counselor, like we met in a bar, we met in a drinking relationship. That's what we did as hobbies. That's what our dates were. Like, let's go cocktail and listen to a band. And so it was kind of pointed out in different ways, but using it as a way to mask emotions, to piggyback off of what you just said, is something that I think a lot of people do, myself as well. And so just recognizing that I want, if we have a drink now, it's because we want to celebrate something, or hey, we were in Denver, so let's go out and have a margarita.
Absolutely.
I'm really conscious of, if we have a bad day, we don't have a drink.
Wow.
Like, if you're super stressed out, I don't want to pour a glass of wine. And I'm really, it's a slippery slope, that mommy needs a wine culture that we're in. It really is. And
that's so true.
It's hard for me to talk about, because I haven't ever talked about it, and I don't have the words quite formulated with how I feel about it, because there's nothing wrong with a glass of wine, or I love a good margarita. The craft beer, there's nothing wrong with it. You're an adult. Enjoy yourself. But I also worry about the idea, with our little children watching, that I had a terrible day and now I need a drink. You're really stressing me out and now I need a drink. Mommy's, upset and now I need a drink. I certainly don't want my kids to ever feel like they caused me to drink, or a day with them has stressed me out so much that now I need a drink. But I also don't want them to associate drinking with emotion. So if I've had a bad day, I'd rather go outside and read a book, play fetch, go for a run, yoga, something that's going to help you kind of get out of that funk. That's not alcohol.
So positive.
And I'd rather them see alcohol as we're having a good, bottle of wine with a nice dinner, or
it's a birthday party.
It's Saturday we love to go to Mexican. It's chips and salsa and a margarita, and there's no association with anything mental with alcohol, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, 1,000%.
So we definitely have cocktails, and we've gone back and forth about whether or not to just stop. Quit alcohol.
It's
that weird dynamic of, I don't drink enough, so does it matter if I have one occasionally? And then I don't drink enough, so does it matter to just cut it out? We kind of get back and forth. So
interesting.
It's interesting, but I definitely want my kids to see that we handle stress and emotion and anxiety differently than pouring a drink.
So good.
And what I have noticed in eliminating alcohol, or definitely cutting back a lot, is that my anxiety is a lot better.
That's
alcohol is with your anxiety kicker for me. And it's interesting, Kevin and I could be at home, right? We could have split a bottle of wine, or we could have a margarita, and sometimes every now and again he'll get real fun and be want a shot of tequila with your margarita, and you're just at home and there's nobody else there, and you have a great conversation, and you go to bed and you wake up, and I will have panic attack anxiety. And it's just what alcohol does to me, and I've realized it's a trigger for that, and I'll be I'm having the anxiety, and he knows. For no other almost the type of anxiety where you wake up and you're what did I do? I made a complete ass jerk of myself. But you didn't. There's no reason to feel that way. That's how I feel.
How interesting.
So it's I don't like feeling that way.
No, definitely not.
Guilty for no reason, or the anxious
what did I do? Is everything okay? Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because obviously the guilt, plays a role in that, and the shame plays a role in that. And we've
lots of shame for
so
no
much
reason.
about that with my children, and Gary and I always are talking about okay, did what I just say cause shame around that concept, because that is a huge component. And I love Brene Brown too.
Yeah.
You know, of hearing how that affects people on such an internal basis. And I noticed it when we're playing house, and they always know mommy needs a coffee. Yeah. So they're always like, I'm like, what's my drink options? Orange juice, milk, coffee, and wine. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah. You said you're 3. What did you just say? And I really was like, wow. Yeah. That is not a beverage. That's not like a choice. That's in our fridge currently. Sure. Though it's in our fridge currently. Yeah. And I just don't want them to think, almost on a different end, that it's a freely accessible option.
Like that we do it every day. Yes. Yeah, like pour some milk and pour some wine.
Pour some wine. Yeah. And like that really bothered me. And I have so many different alcoholic issues in my family and in friend circles, and I've seen what it's done to my own personal relationships when I was doing it in ways that I shouldn't have been. And I know my limit. I know we only have 1 glass of wine. I'm good. I'm done. Maybe 2. And even then, I don't sleep well.
Yeah, I do not sleep. That was one of the reasons that it was really easy to stop drinking. Yeah. Is I never sleep when I drink. I sleep
horrendously. And then kicks in the next day of anxiety when it's usually a weekend day because it's a Friday or a Saturday that it just happened. And now my kids take the brunt of my sleeplessness.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's not fair it's less about the anxiety and more about I feel like a crappy mom. And it only resonates 24 hours later when I'm like, I just had a really bad day. Yeah. And if you go back and you feel the feelings of why and where did that stem from and where did it come from, you realize. Yeah. And so, interesting conviction again. You're just like giving me one after another today. Yeah. I don't even know what time it is because we end up talking. It's 2:00. Amazing. Yeah. I love quality time, and I think that this is such a special space for that. Yeah. So I am so glad
Thank you for having
that
me.
We made the time. Yes.
Like I hope it all made sense.
Oh, it will. It will. It always ends up like coming in full circle. So one of my favorite parts about the podcast is when you leave and I get to dissect what just happened. Yay. And then prepare the introduction.
So fun.
But I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of me.
We don't have to live our lives like hip and hip, but I still feel like I can look across and be like, I see you.
We're kind of on a similar path, I think.
It really is amazing. So
I think of what is that?
Yeah. Parallel.
There we go. What is that word?
Yeah. We're living in parallel universe. I think we literally read Present Over Perfect almost simultaneously.
Around the same time, I think so, yeah.
And it's just, I'm reading Becoming right now by Michelle Obama. Okay. She's narrating it via Audible. I just finished the Rachel Hollis Girl Stop Apologizing, which was also
that one.
Awesome. Yeah. Any ones that I should?
I'm currently reading You Are a Badass at Making Money. Yeah. That's what I keep posting on Instagram. I post the quotes.
That's so good.
I love that one. I liked You Are a Badass too. I just finished it. I liked it enough that I went and got the second one.
Oh, who's it by?
Jen. I think it's. I'll have to look. Sincero. I don't know how you say her last name.
Okay, we'll tag her in the notes.
It's super popular.
Okay, I'm sure. There's so many different ones.
I've been reading in the morning instead of scrolling my Facebook every morning. I've been like, even if I can get through like 5 or 6 pages, I try to do a chapter.
Cool, that's amazing.
Get up real quick, read because I'm too tired at night.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I'm the same way.
And it starts your day with a really good. Just got amped up. You got in a good headspace. And
Mine's
that's how
usually
you're gonna start your day.
A podcast, but I'm moving and doing all the other things. But I love that. It's been so good. But the Brene Brown Dare to Lead.
Yeah.
One is
I
one
do
I
have
just
that
finished.
one. I just got it for Christmas, and I haven't opened it yet.
Good. It's really good.
She's one of my favorites.
She's insane. She really is. Have you watched her Netflix one?
No, I haven't yet. I know. I have to.
I know. I introduced Gary though because Gary doesn't read books, so I'm like, babe, you have to watch Brene Brown. He was a little bit reluctant. He has quoted Brene Brown more times in the last 2 weeks, and I'm like, I turned to you. She's good.
Her, I think it was the vulnerability, the power of vulnerability is one of the most profound things for me, and then the Man in the Arena, her whole TED Talk.
Yes, the TED Talk.
Was one of I share it all the time. It's one of the most like pivotal things I've ever listened to in my life.
And are they in the cheap seats?
Yeah.
It's so good.
We actually want to get that whole quote like done on a board.
That'd be really awesome. That'd look
like
awesome.
Like a wooden,
That'd be good in your space that you're going to have.
We'll have to figure it out.
Cool.
We'll add it to the list of things.
Right? And then
down at the bottom.
Eventually it'll be on the accomplishment list.
Look at that.
Well, thank you.
Thanks
I
for
hope
having
that
me.
people feel inspired. I know they will. I know I do. And I just
appreciate
love your
it.
energy.
Likewise. Thank you.
Love you. Thank you.
Yay.
Peace out.
I'm Tamara Andress. I'm your Fit and Faith host, and I am so excited to just be here to share with you other movers, dreamers, shakers, entrepreneurs, pastors, whatever. If you've got a head and you've got a heart, I'm so excited to explore who that is, whose you are, and discover your wholeness, your health, your wealth, and your joy. I love to exude happiness. I want people to know that this is not this came with trial, you guys. This came with a lot of effort. This came with a lot of lows and so many highs. And I want us to experience those together. This is a real community of dreamers, and I'm excited to help catapult your calling, your kingdom experience, the purpose of your imprint on the world, wherever, however that is. So come along for the ride. I am excited to chat with you. Like, comment, review, send me a DM, send me an email. It's me responding, even though I have an incredible team. And so I'm just excited to get to know you. Let's connect, let's create community, and let's walk in our calling.